guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerous, and today is Fan Friday, which means I'm checking out decks submitted by you guys. If you would like to submit your deck, you can always do so by going to the Discord link in the description below and posting your deck in the Fan Fridays text channel. Today's deck comes from a player called GRVV, and it is an Eredin Frost deck. And this is an interesting deck. It's a kind of a fun style of deck. I do enjoy playing Eredin Frost decks, but I do think this deck has a few flaws, which we'll talk about in a second. But the gist of the deck is we have Eredin. We're going to be using him to spawn Wild Hunt units. Then we have Corinthia, who's Wild Hunt, and he makes Frost. We have Caretaker to pilfer cards from our opponent's graveyard. We have Maruna, which is very hit and miss. After 2 turns, she charms the highest enemy on the opposite row. When she pays off huge, but she's very removable. And then we have Gales, which will give us a choice of a random gold or silver from our deck and put the one that we don't play on the top of our deck. Next up, we have our silver cards. Frightener is our spy. That's going to let us draw a card and also move an enemy to the same row. So we can use him to move units into the Frost that we're going to be playing. Nithril deals 6 damage to an enemy, increased by 1 for each Wild Hunt unit in your hand. Jotun moves 3 enemies to the row opposite this unit and deals 2 damage to them. And if that row is under Biting Frost, it actually deals 3 damage. Osril eats a unit from either graveyard and boosts by its power. Vader Maker gives us extra weather, so Frost, Fog, or Alza's Thunder, so also removal. And Iris, we play her on the opposite side, and when she dies, she boosts 5 of our units by 5, so she is potentially worth 25 points. Cyclops we can use to kill one of our allies and deal damage equal to its power to an enemy. We have 3 Wild Hunt Riders, which are going to boost the damage of our Frost by 1. 1 Drowner, we can use this to move an enemy to an opposite row and then deal 2 damage to it. And if that row has a hazard, such as Frost, it will actually deal 4 damage instead. 3 Wild Hunt Drakars, these boost all Wild Hunt allies by 1. Whenever another Wild Hunt ally appears, it also gets boosted, so this basically is a boost for all of our Wild Hunt units. Wild Hunt Hounds we can use to play Frost from our deck. Ice Troll allows us to move Frost to a different row. Wild Hunt Navigator we can use to basically choose a Wild Hunt unit that we already have, an ally, and play a copy of it from our deck, so deck thinning. And then we have 3 Frosts in order to, synergize with the Wild Hunt Hounds. And then we have First Light, which we can use to remove hazards or play a random bronze unit from your deck. And yeah, that might seem like a lot of cards because this is a 29 card deck, which I think is a little bit overkill. I think there's definitely ways that you could thin this deck down and streamline it in order to make it more powerful. But with that said, let's jump into a ranked game and try out the deck and see how it performs. And if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like.
We do what must be done.
You shall die, worm.
So here we are against Francesca. In terms of the mulligan, we want to get rid of Biting Frosts. We don't want them in our hand. We have some Navigators, but we have targets for them, so that's okay. And really what we're trying to find here is Wild Hunt Hounds. There's one, good. Because we want to be pulling those out of our deck. Other than that, I think this is okay. We could maybe throw 1 Rider because we have Navigators, like I said, so we can usually find a second one. And actually we've got 2 Hounds hit there, which is pretty good.
We do what must be done.
So, opening play, he plays Francesca. We retaliate with our Frost Dog, so let's just get some weather on the board. He may have Weather Clear. Often they'll wait until you play more than 1 weather to play Weather Clear. So, we have kind of options here. We can play more weather, but they might remove it. Alternatively, what we can do... I mean, we have a lot of weather, though, so we probably do want to commit weather to this round. We can just play the Wild Hunt Navigator, I think, from hand.
We know the mysteries of time.
And just get the Frost on the board. If he has clear, he has clear, but, you know, he's going to be waiting for us to play a second Frost anyway, so this is when the clear will happen if it's in his hand. As it is, no clear. I think it's not really worth playing a 3rd Frost. We want to conserve some Frost for later rounds, so I'm just going to put the Wild Hunt Rider out and increase the Frost damage on this row here so that we're dealing more damage on the middle row. What we can do is we can move units into the Frost. We've got our 1 Drowner here, so we can always do that. And we do have access to more Frost should we wish to play it. Is it worth playing it? It possibly is worth playing it at this point. Been doing a lot of trading out cards here. This would also get us another Wild Hunt unit on the board, which means we can then play our Drakars this round, and that's a good option. But then Drakars plus Frost is maybe overkill, so we may be better just waiting. In which case we should probably just put one of these into the back row to guarantee that, you know, we get Frost value going forward. We're up 5 points at this stage, so I think we're in a strong position. We have 2 more Frost options in hand. This is going to be a spy. Okay, we see the spy come out. At this point, we just pass. He can try and overcome, you know, the points from the frost and everything, but we're so far ahead that he's going to have to commit 2 cards, I would have thought, if he wants to do it. You know, 18 to 41, so we are up 23 plus the frost, 24, 25, 27 points, so we'd have to make a 28-point play in order to win the round. So we're good to just kind of let that one go. There's the round in hand, and now we have a choice. We're on even, and we can either play into this round or we can dry pass and get card advantage. And actually, either of those options is solid. I think we're going to throw the Cyclops. We haven't really needed much removal so far. But either of those options is solid. We're going to have a long round, final round, basically. So what we can do is just pass here. This also gives us card advantage, which means that Maruna is going to be a little bit easier to play. Which I like. And Gales gives us access to Caretaker, plus some of, alternatively, some of our silvers, so that's pretty okay. Interesting. So we got Frightener. This actually gives us an extra turn and card advantage, and I think because we're playing Frost is actually a pretty solid option. I'm going to throw one of the Wild Hunt Navigators, I think, and we got Vader Maker instead, so just we've got 3 rows of weather at this point.
Famous last words right there.
Which I think is pretty solid. He has to play another card. And so we're going to Frost that row there. There we go. We have more Frost here. We have more Frost here. But we want to get these, like I said, Wild Hunt units on the board. And now what we can do is we can use Eredin in order to pull a... we're going to actually Frost the back row. We can use Eredin to pull a Wild Hunt Rider, which means we can increase the damage that Frost deals.
The storm is coming. Let's enjoy the weather while we still can.
Recon.
You should not have come here.
There we go. But for now, let's just keep the weather coming.
How did that incantation go?
We want to just get the weather on the board. You might want to have held Vader Maker or Vader Makar if you felt like you needed the Alza's Thunder for later, but this seems to be like an Elf Swarm deck, and if that's the case, then really what we want to do is just get as much damage ticking as we can. Oh, so he swapped a special card there. Cool. So let's get our Rider out. We could alternatively have gone for another Drakkar, but I think because we have the 2 Drakkars and the Navigator, we kind of have access to as much Wild Hunt as we want anyway.
The time of the white frost and white light.
Oh, and there's the clear skies. That is a shame for sure, but you know, I still think we had okay value out of it. Like, she can BM me all she wants. It doesn't really matter. So we do have access to Caretaker, but nothing great to take care of. I think we maybe play the Frightener for now. There we go. So we got Nithril, and Nithril's good right now because we have so many units in hand. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 units in hand, so he's going to deal 10 damage.
Now, how did that incantation go?
And that's kind of fine. Unfortunately, removed one of our Wild Hunt units there. But that is just kind of one of the things that happens. We don't want to kill the Frightener, because at the moment that's our best Maruna target. And because we have 2 card advantage, we're guaranteed to get our Maruna without issue. So, you know, it's pretty good. Unfortunately, he is taking my Wild Hunt units here, which makes this a little bit more problematic. Let's see what Gales gives us.
Naivety is a fool's blessing.
I guess we just play the Jotun. This is worth 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is worth... Actually, this is still worth more. So we'll go Caretaker. And just see what we can get out of here. We don't have any bronze... Oh, no, we have First Light, so we could use First Light to get Recon. But if we do that and we get a Drakkar, then we have a dead Wild Hunt Navigator. I don't know. I think the safe option is just to take the 10 points and then not swap anything. I currently don't have my deck tracker up, so, you know, playing from kind of memory with a deck that this is the first time I've ever played. Oh, nice play.
My, I'm actually impressed.
So he's probably thinking that he's won this because, look at me, I have a 21-point Elias. But we have a Maruna that he can't answer. So this will be fun. So this wins us the game. Like, everything else is just kind of, you know, extra icing on the cake.
Know the mysteries of time and space.
So there comes that. And we got an extra boat just for luck. And there you go. There you go. So we didn't really need the weather in the end. Like, yes, they managed to clear the weather, but because we got the card advantage from winning the first round, plus the Frightener, having an unanswerable Maruna is just kind of insane. But yeah, that's the deck. Like I say, it does perform decently, but I would say that it's a little bit... it's got a few too many cards, I would say. And you can kind of take this deck in different directions. I think 29 cards, it makes your golds and silvers a bit less consistent, which is kind of bad. And also I'd maybe make a couple tweaks to the silvers in terms of Nithril and Jotun. Because we saw that Jotun, you know, didn't really get much value. Nithril kind of worked out pretty okay. It's got 10 points of removal, but, you know, there's other options for removal like Vader Maker that have, I think, better alternatives. So, First Light, I get why this is being run, because I think some people just don't like dealing with weather, and that's fair enough. But for me, I don't think weather is prevalent enough to warrant it taking up a slot. Similarly, I think Ice Troll is just kind of a meh card, so I would take him out. And Cyclops, he gives us extra removal, but we have options for removal. And I guess you can keep this in if you feel like you're coming up against things you need to remove a lot, but ultimately it doesn't really synergize with the deck. So that's already cut it down to 26 cards. Now here's the thing. I think with these kind of decks, you can either go in two ways. You should either commit to Frost, or you could commit to Drakkar. But maybe Drakkar are very kind of reliant on a long round, and often in a long round you already have Frost anyway. So then they're kind of superfluous. They're kind of unnecessary. In which case you could probably afford to take out the Drakkar and just run Drowners instead, because Drowners are, I would say, really strong in this deck. Though it does mean we maybe have too many Navigators. And if you feel like that's the case, what you can actually do is you run 2 Navigators. Run, if we can find the Drowners. They're in here somewhere. Drowners. Where are you? Come here. Come here. Run 2 Drowners, and then maybe run 2 Recons, or you could run 3 Drowners, or, you know, 2 Drakkars, like, not Drakkars, like Cyclops, if that's what you want to do. But honestly, like I said, I feel like this is where you go Recon, which is somewhere in this deck here, maybe at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. This just lets us look at bronze cards and play 2 of them, so we can find kind of cards that we need, and it helps us thin our deck. Then in terms of the silvers, if we're not running boats, we don't need to commit so hard to Wild Hunt units, so you can afford to get rid of something like a Nithril or a Jotun, and I think that's quite wise, especially when you have options like Monster's Nest. Monster's Nest is just a very, very strong Monsters card. It gives us a Bronze Necrophage, so we can use this for Barbagazi for carryover. We could get, say, an Ancient Foglet if we were running Fog off of Vader Maker, but we also get Rotfiend on it, and Drowner. And Drowner, you know, we can use that to deal damage to units in under a hazard. Alternatively, we have Ghoul, which is a big power play, because we're running these 10 Strength Wild Hunt Riders. If they're in the graveyard, we can kind of access them. So I think Monster's Nest is definitely a good inclusion in this deck. Other than that, Nithril, like I said, I don't mind Nithril, but I kind of feel like it's a bit meh if you don't have that many Wild Hunt units in your hand. Like, if you draw it late, it's only 12 points, and like you get a lot of, you know, you can get 12 points quite easily off of bronzes these days, so it seems a little bit unnecessary. In which case, viable alternatives, you could go Abaya, especially if you feel like there's too much weather. This just gives you access to Weather Clear, and also Arrakis Venom you can use to deal damage. Often people row stack into Weather, so then Abaya you will see decent value out of. Alternatively, Roach is a fair choice. You could fit a Roach into this deck quite easily, and I think you'd see decent value. But yeah, ultimately it's a slot that you can kind of play around with and kind of go for what you like. Try different things. Scorch, you know, wouldn't be terrible in this deck. Like, yes, you have, you know, your 10 Strength Wild Hunts, but you're not playing anything huge, so you could quite actually comfortably play a Scorch into this deck. And that would be very strong against things like Great Swords and Consume, which are quite common on the ladder. So maybe we'll try taking out Nithril and tagging in a Scorch and see how that works out for us. You know, this is the whole thing of deck building, is try things out and see how it goes. If this doesn't work out, come back, think about why it's not working out, and then take it from there. But these are some of the changes that I would personally make to this sort of deck. But without further ado, let's jump into a ranked game now and try out this variant instead.
Onward! Attack!
You shall die, world.
Okay, so we're against a full test. We've got 3 Frosthounds, which I think is actually a little bit overkill because you can access them with Wild Hunt Riders, so I'm going to throw 1. 2 Drowners, 1 Wild Hunt Rider. We've got a lot of Frost in hand. Frightener and Scorch. I'm tempted to throw a Drowner. You don't often need both of them. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to play anything else. Unfortunately, we have to go first. We have drowners, so playing Frost is okay as an opener. Like, nothing else in this deck really works as an opener. So this is kind of fine, because then we can just do this, and now units are in the Frost. We also actually have Frightener to pull units into the Frost, so we kind of have options in that regard. This is where I think we play Eredin. Although we could play Recon and try and get a... So we could play Recon and try and get a Wild Hunt Navigator that way, but maybe we just play Eredin, I think. Which allows us to thin a Hound. And get more Frost. Which I like.
Onward! Attack!
So we're ahead here. If we play Frightener, we can kill it and stay ahead. So I think we do that. It also means that we get more value from the Frost, and it also gets Frightener into the graveyard, which is good for our Osril.
I'm on it.
So we can just zap this. We have access to Vader Maker to deal damage to it. Not a terrible idea. With that said, it's kind of being counteracted by the Frost anyway. So, is it such a problem? Maybe not. We can always try and find another Drowner with Recon. Let's play the Rider for now. Let's play the Rider for now. This puts us ahead. Well, actually we would have been uneven because of the boost. But now we can then play the Recon. And there's the Drowner, which I do like, because then we can pull this boy to the back row and kind of deny him his boosts now, which is good. It also meant if we had Iris, we could have played her. The
I'm itching for that battle.
15 Frightener. Oh man, if I could do 2 damage, like 15, 14, 13. Sometimes you see this and it's just like, I just want it to die. I actually think we take the Scorch here. I think this sets up the graveyard for the Osril, which is nice. Puts us ahead. I think it's solid. Okay, so what do we want to go here? I think we probably go Recon now. And we can thin our deck, which is good. I'm just going to put this one on the back row as well, I think, because... Wait, no, I meant to put it on the front row. Oh, I've just mixed up my rows. I was like, this row is equivalent to this row. I want to be dealing more damage on that row, but never mind. Sometimes you mess up. We can play more Frost here. This also thins it from the deck, which I like. Puts us ahead. Guarantees that we're dealing a lot of damage.
The city is ravaged by rot.
So we're currently down 52 to 68. So 10 and 6, but 4 off. Wait, no. 4 off this? Yeah. 10 and 6, but 4 off this. So we're down 12. So a zap would probably do it. I think. 9 and 4, 13. 52. Yeah, this should be enough.
Now, how did that incantation go?
I think it's enough. Hopefully my maths is good. Yeah, my maths is good. That was just, in fact, enough. Basically, if I can take this round without playing Osril, I want to do that. This is worth 9. Is there any armor on the board I can take? No. This is worth fewer than 9. This is... I guess we take this guy. Puts us ahead.
Let's show him what real.
So we can take this round, and then we go into the final round with advantage. We'd have to play Osril, though. So the question is, are we going to draw something that's going to win us the final round? But we'd have 2 cards and he'd have 1. So probably. Is the answer. The question is, like, you know, how much do you want to commit? And maybe committing Osril's too much. But we could draw Monster's Nest, which gives us Ghoul. And Ghoul is a really good single card round. You know, we have mulligans here. On the flip side, we could draw Iris, which would be kind of a bad draw. Like, we're just looking for kind of points. There we go, there's Ghoul. And there's Iris. We got the good draw and the bad draw. So let's throw this one. Maroon is fine. Then we dry pass here, so that we get card advantage in the last round.
Long live etc., etc.
And I think, yeah, I think this is a solid game. Like, pushing the first round there was smart. Even though we don't have, you know, we played our one of our good short round cards, because we put Monster's Nest into this deck, that kind of gives us a good time. If we throw this and get Iris, I'm going to be really upset. That's fine.
Best give up now.
On the plus side, we can actually play Maruna without being interfered with.
I am.
So let's just play this as a delay more than anything. I don't want him to be able to target my units, is kind of the point.
Such a shame. I must kill you.
So we get 18 points from that. And let's just go Ghoul. Eat a 10. And there we go. Winning the round. Easy peasy. Even with, like, the Iris draw. And I knew that was a risk with the mulligan. I was trying to throw away, you know, 3 points, and I got minus 3 points, so it was a bad mulligan, but yeah. I kind of go for the risky mulligans, you know. But that's the deck, and those are the changes. I think the Scorch probably was maybe not the best change just because of the Iris and the Ozral. It can kind of not work out. But then I think if you're going up against a lot of great swords, you know, it's a really great card to include. But alternatively, you could always go Roach. And this is how I would change the deck personally. I think thinning it down makes it a bit better. Although it does mean that the navigators, you have to be a little bit careful with how you play your riders and your hounds, is what I will say. But that was Fan Friday. If you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a like. You can always subscribe to the channel for more content. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jaggerous, and on Twitter @Jaggerous. And if you want to submit your deck for Fan Fridays, go to the description below. Discord, Fan Fridays text channel, post your deck there. Shoutouts to GRVV for the deck, and have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Bye!